Sometimes we go through a hard time in our lives and constantly nag about it, but when you compare it to somebody else's suffering, you realize that your problem is not really a big deal and it could have been much worse, but thank God it has not. Today's story is really inspiring, and it teaches you to hold on to life and fight for surviving, because life is precious and worth living even though there are many difficulties. Those lessons are taught by our heroine on the video, who lived almost half of her life as a hopeless case, but she still managed to live and believes in miracles. She lost half of her face in 1999. Here's what she looks like after getting a new one. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to Did You Know and hit the bell so you never miss an upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. Chrissy Steltz's story began when she co-hosted a party in March 1999. She was a teenager then, and of course, you can imagine how teenagers' parties looked like and the stuff they did to express themselves. Steltz was enjoying the party and was oblivious to the fact that at the end of the party, she would be one step closer to losing her life. Fortunately, she survived, but she lost her facial features, and you will now know why. Though we hate to come bearing bad news, the story is inspiring, and it would teach you to appreciate life more and to embrace your problems and just let them go. Steltz described the night of the party where her friends were doing all the wrong stuff teenagers are curious to do, like drinking and so on. Then, she saw one of her friends carrying a shotgun. After that, she said that she went to bring juice and offer it to her friends, and accidentally, her friend who was playing with the gun shot her by mistake. Her boyfriend, Will O'Brien, explained that she looked as if an animal was shot and suffering to stand up. Though the comparison is weird and not decent, he meant no offense at all. He wanted people to imagine how hard it was and how helpless she felt. Yet, he stressed that she was a survivor and struggled to stand up as if she wanted to fight death. Thankfully, Steltz did not die, and they took her to the hospital immediately, where the doctors were unsure how to save her, but they did. However, after many attempts of saving her face, her right eye became completely blind, and the blast removed her nose as well as contents of her left eye. So, in other words, her face was completely disfigured, and there was no way the doctors could do anything to fix it a bit, as was mentioned by Dr. Eric Dirks. Then, Steltz was prescribed to be placed in a drug-induced coma, where she spent 6 weeks unconscious. Her parents were really worried and knew that her brain would be damaged, but they were still hoping for the best and praying she lived longer. When she woke up from the coma, her brain functioned well, and when she realized that she had to wear a sleeping face mask to cover her eyes and her nose, she pitied herself. Steltz has a very sweet sense of humor, even though she has gone through much pain. She is also a very determined person and perseverant. She had a strong will during her most frail moment and decided to endure her suffering with a good attitude. She said, "I knew I could sit back and have a pity party, or I could figure out what to do and go about doing it, and that's exactly what I did." Of course, it is easier said than done, but Steltz was a fan of the saying, "Actions speak louder than words." Therefore, she moved on in life and spent 11 years wearing a sleeping mask, but lived her life normally, until finally the outcome of her patience was worth all the waiting. Her doctors spent 11 years to make her a face mask that resembled her face. They even used some photos of her when she was 16 years old to know how her facial features looked like, so that they could create something very similar. Luckily, the doctors did it. They created the same exact face that she once had. A group of professional physicians and surgeons made the surgery. They implanted some dental implants in her facial bones. They made a breathing passage and removed all the dead tissues that were on her face. The result was excellent and completely amazing. She looks beautiful and really sweet. Her story is a reminder that miracles happen and hope exists no matter how hard your situation is. Do not give up on life and just face it. Steltz's problem was very hard to solve, but it was not impossible. count your blessings and come to terms with your temporary problems. I am wishing you a great life, and thanks for watching.